Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Shai De La Fuente, a member of BCBP Alabang.
And I am Erica Sanchez, a member of BCBP Makati. And welcome
Welcome
to
to Unmasked.
Unmasked. Good evening, Shai, and welcome BCBP. I cannot believe it is already April. Shai, ano ba yung naalala mo when April rolls in? Kasi ako lang isang nainisip ko, taxes. Napaka-corny.
Totoo naman, taxes talaga. Magpa-file ka ba? Kayo, audience.
Maybe you can tell us, what does April remind you of?
Correct. I agree, Erica. Taxes talaga during the month of April. But guess what? Nag-return of the comeback ang ating chismisi bird. At we found out that 2 of our 3 guests tonight are celebrating their birthday during this month, the month of April. But let's save that for later kasi baka magpa-burger sila at kailangan mabait tayo sa kanila. So Erica, please do the honors of introducing our episode tonight.
Well, before that, Shai, aside from the 2 guest speakers that have a birthday this month, I heard one of the hosts do too as well. Sana magpa-burger din siya.
Sino yun? Sino yun?
But anyway, this episode actually makes me just want to sing. If you know this special song, Treasure, that is what you are. You're my lucky. Golden star pala, hindi pala lucky. Pero wag na kasi baka mawala yung mga guests natin, no? Maayong gabi sa tanan, watching from Bohol, Ubay chapter, and Masbate chapter as well. So, brothers and sisters, our episode tonight is entitled The Real Men of BCBP. And we will be featuring our brothers who are in the service of safekeeping the treasures of our community.
Galing naman, Erica. What a wonderful start to our show this evening. May opening song pa. Kakaiba ka talaga. So, I am very, very excited to introduce our guests and who have something to do with exactly what you just sang. Ano nga ba ang treasurer sa Tagalog? Medyo mahirap. Audience, do you know what it is? Tagapag-ingat yaman nga ba? Parang yun nga yata. Malalim no?
So, malalim nga.
Malalim talaga. Allow me now to introduce our first guest. He is a businessman and he owns R.E.A.L shirt printing. Ayan, so medyo obvious na siguro what chapter he belongs to. He's married to the beautiful Tess and they have 1 daughter, Margot Therese. He served as chapter head of LIPA and as RSC for mission in STR2A. A graduate of BCLP 9 in 2003, brothers and sisters, let us welcome our Regional Council Director for Southern Tagalog Region 2A, Godofredo Latay Jr. or Brother June, our first April celebrant guest. Happy birthday, June, and welcome to Unmasked.
Good evening, Shai and Erica. Good evening,
Good
BCB.
evening.
Good evening. Bago ang lahat, audience, paki-guess kung kailan ang birthday ni June. Ito ang clue. 2 plus 2, 22, 2022. Gets nyo ba? Pakilagay sa chat box kung kailan ang birthday ni June.
May pa-premyo kagaling kay June kung mag-guess nyo.
Correct.
But shouting out also to our President PV, he and Joff are actually watching on the road. Talaga,
And May.
big fans. Yes, big
Hi,
fans of
May.
Unmasked. Hello, May. We also have people watching from BCBP Tacloban and Ormoc and Kapatangan Valley chapter. Napakatapang yata siguro sila. Our second guest for tonight is the Accounting and Financial Reporting Manager of the Radio Filipino Media Group. He is married to Graceful Grace for 25 years and they both completed BCLP 3 in 2003 in IMOS chapter. His past services include chapter head and regional coordinator for treasury of STR1. Mga kapatid, ito talaga ang kasalukuyang tagapag-ingat yaman ng BCBP. Let us welcome our treasurer, Ricardo V. Santos, or how we fondly call him Bong. And on April 15, Bong turns years old. Happy birthday, Bong, and welcome to Unmasked.
Good evening, Shai and Erica, and to all our viewers, good evening.
Good evening. Ito na. Allow me to introduce our third guest. He's not born in April, but in November. Wala lang, para lang alam ng ating guests. Lahat ng ating audience ngayon. He's a retired finance executive and married to the lovely Aleli. And in his own words, for 41 years of blissful and spirit-filled union. They have 2 daughters, both married na, and they have a total of 4 grandchildren. Parang hindi naman halata. They finished their BCLP 27 in 1997. Before his present service, he held various leadership roles, and the most recent ones include being the chapter head of Alabang chapter and immediate past national treasurer. Let us give a warm welcome to our BCBP BOT chairman, Cesar Perez Altarejos Jr., proudly a member of Alabang chapter. Kasama ko.
Wow, lahat papalakpak para kay chairman.
Yeah.
Lahat pumapalakpak.
Good evening,
naman.
Shai. Good evening, Erica.
Good
Good
evening.
evening, BCBP.
Good evening, mayong gabi. So let us start and welcome to Unmasked, gentlemen. For some reason, I am very, very excited to get this show on the road. So please, Shai, fire away.
I will start, but I want to say hello and good evening to Marites from Cebu. I know Aris was there earlier today. So
Mayong
again,
gabi.
let's start. This segment is labeled Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar and give to God what belongs to God. Medyo totoo to ha, binabasa ko lang ang script. My first question belongs to Tito Cesar. This is for you. Tito Cesar, what is the role of money in a community like the BCBP? How important is it?
In any organization, whether profit or for non-profit, money is vitally important as it is its lifeblood. Money is therefore indispensable to the existence of this organization. BCBP without money cannot operate, function, or finance its plans and programs and activities to fulfill its vision and mission.
Well, that's saying it like it is. Jun naman, having been a past chapter head, no, how do you best explain tithes to new members and why does it need to be a regular habitual habit? May mga follow-up lang ako dyan, no? So, can a member maybe give on an annual basis, tipong lump sum or PDC style? And how does the BCBP as a community encourage financial giving to ensure 100% commitment to tithe?
Yeah, thank you. The teaching on tithes actually is a teaching on stewardship. Everything we have is actually owned by God. Yan ang tinuturo natin. Ano? And we are mere stewards. Tagapamahala lang tayo. By giving a portion of what we earn back to God, we acknowledge His ownership. We link our material and financial well-being to our relationship with God. That is why we encourage this habit of consistent monthly giving, monthly tithing. Para bang it's a monthly thanksgiving, a monthly recognition of God's unending blessings. Yung iba nga, tulad ng sinabi mo, they give a lump sum to be divided equally to the months they want to be applied. This is okay as long as the chapter treasurers can accommodate such an arrangement. Doon naman sa isa, about encouraging chapters to achieve 100% tithing percentage. When I was chapter head about 12, 13 years ago, pinagplanuhan talaga namin ang aming governance team on how we can achieve this. There are really 3 things that we did. First, we explained to the members the importance of giving tithes and what a serious and sacred responsibility it is. Secondly, We were diligent in the reminding of members and diligent in the collection of tithes from them. And thirdly, we made sure that there is transparency, that the monthly treasurer's report of the chapter should include detailed explanation regarding where the money went, how much money came in, how much money was spent, how much money was remitted as NOF, and how much money is left in the bank or at hand. Through all this, we successfully got 100% typing percentage. And during the time, our chapter was the first among many BCBP chapters to accomplish this feat.
Congratulations.
Yeah, what a feat,
What a
huh?
feat. That's true. And you know what? As a wife to a chapter head, I see how our chapter conscientiously complies with national office requirements to remit these tithes and prepare the reports. So maybe I can direct this question naman to Bong. Bong, can you explain how vital it is to submit timely and accurate financial reports? And a follow-up question, what happens if we don't submit these reports?
Okay, prompt and accurate submission of financial report is very important to BCBP and to any other organizations because management uses them to provide valuable insight, enabling the BCBP to stay compliant while making more efficient decisions to the BCBP chapters and to the BCBP as a whole. Transparency, timeliness, accuracy, and better quality of financial reporting is very important. Late submission of financial reports can lead to inaccurate and irrelevant decisions. Worse, non-submission of financial reports can lead to difficulty in obtaining the appropriate and clean independent audit opinion. Can also lead the BCBP's tax exemption status. Non-submission of financial reports can also lead to sanctions depending on its severity.
Yeah, so I guess it really is important that you continue to maintain, good business ethics, even if,
Mhm.
within our community as well. I just want to say a shout out again. Ang daming mga nagpapa-hello sa chat
Oo
box. So
nga
we
eh.
have from Imos, Lipa, we'll mention Cebu, but we have Mactan, Sorsogon, Rojas, Panay, and West Negros regions.
Parang
Diba?
ayaw mo
Mayong
basahin
gabi.
yung galing sa breezy, ano yun?
Breezy Mendez,
Breezy Mendez.
Cavite.
Cavite.
Cavite. Sorry, June. I'll swing back around to you, ha? If a member chooses naman to give donations to a charitable or church organization, are these considered tithes as well? Ano ba yung mga variations na pinapayagan ng BCBP for tithing? For example, can a member indicate a preference as to where his tithes would go?
Yeah, yung teaching sa tithes actually mentions of three types of giving. Okay, the teaching says that when we give to the less fortunate, no, tawag natin doon ay alms giving. When we give to the church and to the charitable organizations which you mentioned, it is called donation or love offering. And the third is tithing as we know it. Alam mo, ang importante is that when we give our tithe to our chapter, the trust on where it should be spent goes with it. Meaning, we trust our leaders to use the fund only on necessary expenses in connection with the operational aspects of the chapter.
I see. June, can I ask you a follow-up question? Are non-monetary donations considered tithes at all? For example, may magpapalitsyon during a Christmas party or
Or during birthday?
Pwede rin, April, malapit na.
April, sa mga April birthday celebrants. Pwede
Or-
magpalitsyon.
Pwede. Or magpapasponsor ng t-shirts for family activities in the chapter. Would you consider this tithes at all?
Yeah, tithes as far as the BCBP is concerned is always monetary, Yung binabanggit mo na non-monetary donations are donations, love offerings, lechon, for example. Masama naman kung lechon buwan-buwan, kung matanggap natin, maka-high blood na tayo lahat yan.
Oo nga naman. For Bong, since you served as a past chapter head and regional coordinator for Treasury, can you clarify who really is in charge of ensuring the regular financial giving of members. So, that starts from reminding, collecting, and, the general monitoring of their tithes.
Actually, the action group leaders are the ones primarily responsible for monitoring and collecting the tithes of the members as part of their pastoral care to its members. Actually, there are three pastoral leaders in the chapters. The chapter head, the unit leaders, and the action group leaders. During governance meeting, the chapter head should remind his team, specifically the unit leaders, about the tithes. Then the unit leaders remind their action group leaders in the unit meeting, so the action group leaders can remind their members to give tithes. BCBP gives much importance to the regularity, not so much to the amount.
Yeah.
And as Brother June mentioned, we would like all the members to be faithful in giving our tithes regularly.
I see. And aside from asking our members to be faithful tithe givers, no, we also want our audience. So we're asking all our member audience to please ask some questions. Feel free to use the chat box to just send in your questions.
Correct. Habang nandito sila, lahat ng mga tanong mo
Correct.
tungkol sa mga on our topic, this is your chance.
Tanong na, di ba? I call to mind a verse from Luke 6, and it's often associated with the prosperity gospel. To quote, "If you give, you will get. Your gift will return to you in full and overflowing measure, pressed down, shaken together to make room for more, and running over." This tends to make Christians believe that tithing is rewarded with material wealth. Is this a realistic expectation, and how can this be reconciled with the reality that some of our members experience serious financial difficulties even though they tithe faithfully? Maybe Tito Cesar, you can answer this question.
Tithing is a form of financial giving, an act of sharing of what already belongs to God. When we tithe, it must always be anchored on the right motivation, that is, our desire to please and love God. It must never be anchored on our expectation that God will give us in return or will give us more in return. God is a generous God. God knows our needs. The Bible is rich with passages that underscore his promises to make us all prosperous. If we give, God will definitely give in return. We can never outperform God in terms of generosity. However, when we give, it should not be conditioned on God's multiplying what we give. This leads me to your point. When we tithe, it is not an assurance nor a guarantee that we will not experience financial difficulties. Far from it. Most of us, if not all of us, have experienced financial difficulties. The more important part is when we face financial difficulty, we entrust it to God and believe that God, in His goodness and graciousness, will grant us the graces to overcome our problems and solve it.
Wow, kasing ganda ng Bible verse mo, Shai, was the explanation of Chairman Cesar. Thank you so much for that.
Took
And we
down
really
notes.
Yes, ako, buti na lang, you can watch us again on Facebook and in YouTube. We really must relate tithing to devotion and faithfulness to God. And as serious as money talk gets, it's always nice to have that level of cheerfulness. Ika nga, God loves a cheerful giver. Ako, I never forget it kasi yun ang sinasabi ng chapter treasure namin, di ba? O siya, may pa-Bible verse din ako sa 2 Corinthians 9:7. So let's lighten the mood a little bit. Although I see a lot of questions here, we'll go to that a little bit later. But we'll move on to our next segment entitled Yesterday When I Was Young. O, diba? We'll go a little personal. Okay ba, mga brothers? We'll start with you, Mr. Chair. When you were young, did you already have an inkling that you would be a financial executive? Were you entrepreneurial at any point in your life? Or did you have a way to always make money for yourself? Share naman dyan.
Becoming a chief finance executive was never in my radar screen when I was a student. However, at that early age, when I was in the elementary, I promised to myself that I will excel in my studies and succeed in my career. After college, and when I started working, that was the time when I started entertaining and focusing myself, rising the corporate ladder and reaching the chief finance executive. At a certain point in my marriage, my wife and I went into business. That was the time when family expenses were growing as the children were studying. Family income needs to be augmented. The business was very profitable, but at the same time, very stressful. We eventually decided to close the business.
Thank you very much, Tito Cesar, for sharing that. Ito, hindi ko naabutan, pero sa mga baby boomers, uso daw ito. Jude, did you in your childhood have a piggy bank, yung plastic na baboy? If you did, what did you do with the savings?
Alam mo, sinubukan ko rin yan. Ano? Naghulog din ako ng mga barya sa alkansya. But when, a ice cream vendor passes by, o kaya yung magpipishball dumadaan, sinusungkit uli yung mga inihulog ko. Kaya ubos din lahat.
Nanunungkit ka pala.
The truth is, I was not really into saving, because there was nothing to save really when I was young. My dad died at my young age, and my mother really had a time making ends meet, sabi nga. So, eksakto lang yung allowances, kung minsan kalimitan, kulang pa.
Ay, ganon O sige, though, for all gentlemen, no? So, as a young boy, can you briefly share one mischievous thing that you did involving money? Briefly lang kasi kung humahaba pa yan, sa presinto na kayo magpaliwanag Be honest, dapat. Let's start with you, Bong.
Ako talaga mauna? No.
Ikaw talaga. Ikaw yung current treasurer
Anyway, unmasked talaga yung title. But to be honest, as a young boy, I have a lot of mischievous experiences. Like, kasi mabarkada ako, no? Like too much spending with friends, going to nightclubs. And I am also fan of buying things that are unplanned. Basta gusto ko lang, no? Bili dito, bili doon. And minsan, since magastos nga ako, nangungupit ako ng pera sa pantalon ng tatay ko. So, how about you, June? No? Baka meron ka mas matindi.
Sige. Ako naman, I started having money when I started working. Mischievous deed, siguro expense, ay yung frequent punta sa beer houses also. Siguro kung makilala kami ni Bong, nagkita kami doon, hindi lang kami magkakilala siguro. Ang isa pa, I love music very much. I spent a lot of money buying vinyl records during the time, cassette tapes, ano. At yun, ano, malaki talaga nagastos ko dito sa mga bagay na yun. Si
Tito
Cesar kaya?
Cesar.
Cesar naman.
Oh yes, June. Meron din tayo. A very funny and mischievous experience. When I was about 9 years old, I made kupit sa mother ko. But to make my kupit successful, I studied where my mother was keeping her money, what time was she taking her nap, and how long was she taking her nap. At the most appropriate time, I did it. Very successful. I got 1 peso. To make it foolproof, I connived with a friend, a neighbor, to have him kept it. Unfortunately, the mother of my friend, a very good friend of my mother, found about it that his son was having money. A very unsuccessful money heist.
Dami nating
Oo nga.
mangungupit dito. Tito Cesar,
Correct.
almost the perfect crime. Grabe.
Almost. Yung accomplice yung naglaglag sa'yo.
Oo nga. Pero natatawa lang ako na dami sa kanila nangungupit talaga.
Correct.
Sige, medyo serious natin ng konti. Bong, sa'yo naman tong question na to. If sky is the limit, what is the one thing that you would really want to buy or maybe do?
Okay, if sky is the limit, I would like to travel anywhere with the love of my life, syempre, si Grace, no, and with the family. Then, but when it comes to buying, mahilig ako kasi sa sa farmland. So I pray na makabili ako ng isang farm someday for retirement.
Okay. May magandang question sa chat box.
May follow-up may follow-up
Oo. Kay Francis nga ba galing to? Gentlemen, was there a time you were caught making kupit? How did you react?
Ka nga, huli ka balbon.
Huli ka. Sino ba yung mga mangungupit natin dito?
Lahat. Diba?
Lahat.
Nahuli ba
naman
kayo?
sila
Yes or no na lang. Tito Cesar,
Yes.
Ayan.
how did you react?
Sorry.
Sorry
Bong.
po.
Sorry po. Bong,
Actually,
yes or no?
Actually, ako hindi nahuli. Kahit minsan, wala.
Ah,
Wow. Magaling siya. Matinik.
magaling.
siya.
Magaling.
Oh. June, ikaw, yes or no?
Ako,
Nahuli ka ba?
hindi ako nangupit, nanungkit lang ako.
Ay, tama. In fairness, tama. Yun naman ang
Magkaiba
sabi
pala
ni
yun? Okay.
Nanungkit lang siya.
Ang pagkakaiba nun?
Sinungkit ka. Akin yung sinungkit.
Si Piggy Bank, hindi siya kayang huli kay June.
Okay, sige. O, ibahin ko na lang yung question kay June. June, ito na lang. What is the one thing you have that money cannot buy?
My family, of course, ano? My family first and foremost. At kung merong isa pa, it is the chance to serve the Lord through this community. No? I really treasure that.
Yan. Ikaw yata ang dapat kumanta ng Treasure kay Bruno Mars. Back to you, Chairman. Do you believe in giving gifts? Yes or no?
Of course.
Okay.
Gift giving
So what?
is a very laudable practice.
That being said, what is the best gift that you have ever received and most appreciated? Kasi parang hirap na hirap ako to think of what I could possibly give you. Maybe you can share that with us.
The best gift that I've ever received was, is, and will be the gift of a loving and thoughtful wife, my wife, Aleli. Dapat yan.
Yan. Mao gyud.
Tinood yun.
Mao gyud, tinood good.
at the level of material thing, I could think of two gifts. First, a gift given by my two daughters while they were in the elementary. A figurine with an inscription written on it. And the passage says, fathers are God's special people. This touched the very core being of my fatherhood. And the second gift is a beautiful sculpture of the Last Supper given to us by our parish priest here in our village. Both gifts are prominently displayed here at home, and oftentimes I look at them.
Tito Cesar, when I go visit you, can you please make sure that you show me these treasures of yours?
Definitely shy.
And
The priceless ones, no? Because ika nga shy for everything else.
there's MasterCard.
MasterCard.
Alam nyo, it's a time of Lent. It's a season of Lent. So many are fasting from things like food, drinks, hobbies. What do you think of monetizing the money saved from fasting practices? Dapat ba idagdag ito sa tithes? And are you practicing this? Maybe Bong, I can ask you.
Okay, pwede rin naman magdagdag sa tithes, no? Kasi it's part of giving back to God. And as a part of love and sacrifice, I agree that saved money from fasting can be donated to charitable institutions. For example, Bantay Bata, Gawad Kalinga, yung children's shelter and others. No? And personally, I donate every month for 2 years now, about I think more than 2 years now to UNICEF.
Wow, that's nice. Galing. Allow me to read naman something from the chat box from June Abbott. He commented, if we are stewards of the Lord, should we not treat tithing as returning a portion of what He entrusted to us? Viewed from the stewardship lens, it seems that one must not expect something in return. Pang Miss Universe na sagot yan.
Correct. Mr. Universe.
Mr.
No?
Universe, sorry pala.
Mr. Universe.
So, ayan naman, ang saya to know about your boyhood days and personalities. Balik na tayo sa community-related questions, which I am sure a lot of our audience has also been looking forward to. And we already have some questions in the chat box. Keep them coming, mga kapatid in our audience out there. So, ito na. The last segment is entitled, Just Like Tonight's Show, Real Men of BCBP. Brothers who are overseeing and safeguarding our revenues, expenses, assets, and liabilities. So Chairman Cesar, buntik ng Cesar, Chairman Cesar, prior to your current service, you were the National Treasurer. Pwede din ba akong mag-apply dyan? Kasi parang feeling ko yung qualification, dapat gwapo. Pero, maganda lang kami ni Erica. Nax, Erica. Seriously, what are the main tasks of the National Treasurer at saka the qualifications?
Pwede ka, shy. Guwapita ka.
Maog yun.
Yeah. The main responsibility of a National Treasurer is to oversee the financial affairs of the community, to ensure that each financial condition is sound and its financial operations are successful. This responsibility encompasses a wide spectrum, from accounting and controls to cash management, financial reporting to Board of Trustees and Management Committee, regulatory compliance, cash management, budgets and plans, and expense management. When we talk of qualifications, definitely first and foremost, you must be macho guapito. Joke lang. Seriously, you have to be first and foremost a senior leader. Then you have completed the basic and major formation programs of the community. You have to have a good knowledge and working experience in accounting and finance. You have to know how to perform and operate Excel and other accounting softwares. And in addition, you have to be honest. One has to be free from any financial concerns in and outside of the community. And lastly, but equally important, one must be a regular type giver.
Yun pala yun. So let's go to the present treasurer. So Bong, what is the most difficult part about this service? Of course, mahirap talaga maging gwapo, di ba? Parang ang effort, di ba? Yan talaga, thank you na lang, Lord. But is there also a fun part to this service?
Actually, tama si chairman, no? One of the qualifications of the treasurer is macho guapito. Nagkataon, guapito lang ako, no? Pero hindi ako macho. yun lang kaibahan namin. But kidding aside, for me, one difficult part of being a national treasurer is the analysis of accounts. For example, kaya bang bayaran ng present revenue natin yung mga expenses or liabilities ng BCBP? And another is the projection of revenues and expenses. Lalo na ngayon, it's pandemic, so we cannot easily predict kung ano yung mga gagawin. No? So how much revenue is needed for planned activities and projected operational expenses and capital expenses? But the fun part, like the other positions, is that I get to interact with fellow BCBP members in different chapters, in talks and forums about treasury matters. Also, I'm learning more about the overall operations of the BCBP.
That's good to know that there's also a fun side, huh?
Yeah, sorry, Shai. Can I just follow up? Because there's a question here from May, actually. And given that we are also talking to the present treasurer, the question is, what is the current average percentage of tithing units in the BCBP community? O, diba? Medyo na on the spot ka dun, no?
Oh.
Hanap siya ng report.
Mag-notes muna si Bong.
But actually, estimate it's about 70% nationwide.
Oh, okay.
I see.
There's the answer.
Thank you for your question, May.
Yep. Ito naman for June. June, name one character trait that you believe is essential for someone who would serve as treasurer. Does it help for a treasurer to be personally matipid or even kuripot, mahigpit, or madetalye?
Yung matipid at kuripot, hindi yung siguro kailangan yun. Ano? Pero yung mahigpit at detalyado, I think that is what is needed. Tapat dapat. Yun ang ating battle cry nowadays, be honest. Ano? An eye for detail is very important as he has to account up to the very last centavo that enters the chapter's coffers and how it is being spent. Ano? A treasurer should also have the patience to do the reportorial requirements. Napakadaming ina-accomplish ng treasurer monthly. Ano? Madaming requirement. Ano? And syempre, as what the chairman said, dapat merong basic knowledge on the computer software that is being used to make this report. Sabi niya, Excel. Ano?
Thank you, June. So you touched on monthly requirement, the regularity of monthly requirements. So I'm sure there's a question on everybody's mind. And we also have a chat box question related to it. So I hope the answer you get tonight will suffice for your question. But we'll direct this to Chairman. What is the basis of the 25% National Operating Fund, or NOF, and where is it used? What directorate also would you say is the BCBP's largest cost center?
Okay. The National Operating Funds, or NOF, is 25% of actual tithe collections of all chapters nationwide. The rate of 25% was set because it was estimated to be the fair and reasonable share of all chapters to support and enable the national office to sustain effectively its activities nationwide, including international missions. For the information of BCBP members, other communities maintain 100% of their tithes at the national office. NOF is used to fund our expenses and our capital expenditures. In terms of spending pattern, I have prepared a slide for that because we anticipated this question. Our studio, please share the screen. The cost allocation of both the national and the chapter are as follows. At the national level, 35% of our NOF collections goes to administrative expenses, which covers salaries of our employees, their benefits, rentals, office supplies, utilities, office equipment, and others. 30% are spent to support the Board of Trustees and Management Committee meetings, which includes retreats, meeting costs, and transportation. 20% goes to directorates, formation, mission, program services, digital, family, and others. And 15% goes to the expenses of AMDs and RCDs, covering their transportation expenses, accommodation expenses, food, as they cover the chapters in the regions and their areas. At the chapter level, the cost allocation is as follows. 30%, 25% goes to national operating funds. 30% goes to mission. 20% to formation, 10% to program services, 10% to family, and 5% to admin expenses.
I see. That's the breakdown. Tito Cesar, there's a second part to that question, and I hope you can answer it.
Sure.
Can the chapter members request for the monthly financial report from BOT Mancom?
When we speak of financial reports, there are two levels. At the chapter level, the chapter head is mandated to make financial reporting monthly to its members. This is to keep your members informed of the status of their tithe collections, expenses, and their cash position. At the national office, the treasurer submits and prepares financial reports to the Board of Trustees and Management Committee on a quarterly basis. These reports are copied to the area managing directors. If there is a member who requests for copy of financial reports, the member can force the request to the chapter head, and the chapter head will have to decide whom to elevate this request. It's either to the RCD, AMD, or to the treasurer.
Okay, so it's really the chapter head that is the point person. Tito Cesar, still on you. When it comes to type collections nationwide, why is there so much emphasis about which chapters are on the top 20 and even the bottom 20?
We have 121 chapters nationwide. All collections of these chapters are reported to the Board of Trustees and Management Committee. However, in our presentation to these two bodies, we highlight the top 20 and the bottom 20. Top 20 because we would like to acknowledge the performance of these chapters and to motivate other chapters to equal, emulate, or to surpass these good performers. The bottom 20, this is to ensure that the AMDs and RCDs are duly informed so that they could come up with measures and means to improve the collection of these chapters.
Thank you.
Thank you. Back to you, June. Ika nga, lahat ng variation tinatanong ko talaga sa iyo, no? I have two questions, okay? I'll start with one which is from the audience, actually from my husband, na nagtatanong from Makati chapter. Can added service be considered a form of tithing for people who don't have enough to cover household expenses for certain months? And I have a follow-up or another question to that, but please answer that first.
Lagi natin sinasabi that, tithes is always monetary. Hindi kasama. Tithe yung service mo is a service. But as far as the community is concerned, it's always monetary.
Okay, so going back into the monetary side of it, under what circumstances is fundraising allowed naman? Okay ba yung passing the hat? Is that encouraged or even suggested? When is it or not appropriate?
Well, generally, we discourage chapter fundraising activities as all chapter expenses should be funded by the chapter fund. However, for special purposes siguro, the chapter may seek or get a special approval from MANFOM before going into a fundraising activity. Yung passing of the hat, we also discourage that. The governance team may pondo naman ng chapter. Maybe the governance team may agree to release a certain portion of that fund to meet the special needs of a member, say his medical needs or hospitalization expenses kung talagang hihingi siya ng tulong at kailangan niya. And of course, any other member can freely give directly to a needy member, anytime he desires.
June, you touched about the calamity fund. No? I'll direct this to Chairman Cesar. How are funds for calamities managed on the national level?
For calamities, we have set up a calamity fund. This monitors donations and expenses. Every time there is a calamity, BCBP draws from this fund and advances immediately to chapters affected so that it could immediately deploy financial assistance to affected communities and affected members. At the same time, the community will request coordination from members. This calamity fund is maintained and operated separate and distinct from our national operating funds.
All right. I'm not sure if this applies, but like it does to other directorates, but Bong, does the treasurer also plan out future programs to roll out? Can you give some examples? Maybe in the areas of digitization, report compliance, anything on that?
Okay. Yes, we have programs for the treasurers of the BCBP. like rollouts of the Treasury Manual that includes financial reporting compliance, and rollouts will be scheduled anytime this year. And right now, the national office is working on the digitization improvements to include data about financial reports of the chapters, as well as the upgrading of the accounting system in the national office.
Right.
Okay. Sorry, Bong, can I just ask you this question? So actually, we have a comment here from June Abbott. As a treasurer, one encourages prudence across the organization at all times. Hence, of course, there is a certain cap, diba, for certain expenditures. Because alongside that, there's, I guess, a related question from one of our audiences. What is your policy on travel expense? You know, five-star hotels, business class tickets, etc. What are your thoughts on that?
Actually, yung expenses natin when it comes to prudence, yung ano lang, no, alam naman natin kung ano yung reasonable, no. Doon tayo sa reasonable when it comes, because the money that we spend are the hard-earned monies of our members. So let's just be ano. So wala, actually hindi natin masabi kung hanggang magkano, kasi depending on the place that we will go, depending on the items that we will buy. But let us alam naman natin kung ano yung prudence na sinasabi, tsaka yung reasonable when it comes to expenses.
Thank you, Bong. Well said.
Is there another? How about this one from June Abbott? Sometimes there is confusion on what is monitored for the ranking. Is it the percent of tithers over the tithing units, or the amount collected over a period? Tito Cesar, would you like to pick this up?
Yep. I think both. You have to monitor both the percentage of number of titles, and at the same time, the amount. If you achieve higher performance from both parameters, the better. But the bottom line is that you have to have sufficient tithes to support your mission, your various directorates,
Thank
and to
you.
ensure that really members are tithing.
Tithing regularly at that too. Thank you very much,
Yes,
Tito Cesar,
yeah.
for your response. And thank you very much to our brothers and sisters who have been sending in their questions and comments. Grabe, our chat box tonight is burning. That is so good to see. A lot of comments and questions coming in. But now it is time for our last portion, called the Be Honest Ha portion. And we hope that you are already regular viewers of Unmasked. The instructions are very simple. Just give the answer which immediately comes to your mind. No explanations required. And the answer both is not an option. Grabe itong mga scriptwriters natin na parang may mga bagong pakulo sila
O nga,
tonight.
may pag-gimmick sila para sa ating
Correct.
mga treasurers, treasure keepers.
So I hope the treasurers are ready. Here we go. Your high school average in math, June.
79.
Algebra or geometry, Tito Cesar.
Algebra.
Who handles the family budget, you or the wife, Bong?
Wife.
Supermarket or palengke, Bong?
Palengke.
Equation to, so medyo pen and paper, kailangan nandyan sa tabi. 32 divided by 2 divided by 4 plus 32. June.
36.
Ano daw?
Palagay ko 36.
Palagay mo?
Palagay ko din. Sabi mo eh. Number of credit cards you have, Tito Cesar.
4.
What have you splurged on during the pandemic, June?
Shopee. Sa
33.
halaman.
Shopee sa halaman. O ito another equation. 33 divided by 3 times 10 plus 10. Bong.
I guess 120.
Yeah.
I guess you're right. I'd like you to say notebook at aklat 3 times pero kailangan mabilis. Tito Cesar.
Notebook at aklat, notebook at aklat, notebook at aklat.
Max.
Isang
Erika.
palakpak naman dyan. O ako
Take it away.
naman. Credit card or GCash, Bong?
Credit card.
Spell tithe backwards, June.
EHTIT.
Equation ulit. 100 divided by 5 times 3 minus 5. Tito Cesar.
55.
Sabi mo eh. Say Swiss wristwatch 3 times, June. Mabilis
Swiss
ha?
wristwatch. Swiss wristwatch. Swiss wristwatch.
Para sa pera, what is in your wallet, Tito Cesar?
Picture of my family.
1 to 100%, how gastador are you, Bong?
60%.
Whose pictures on your mobile phone screen, June?
My wife and kid.
Parang may pause ka dun, ha? How about this? Say truly rural 4 times, Bong.
Truly rural, truly rural, truly rural, truly rural.
Calculator or phone, Tito Cesar?
Phone.
And for all our gentlemen, please say this 2 times lang naman. We'll go one by one, okay? Starting with Tito Cesar. Let's pause for applause.
Let's pause for
Cesar.
applause. Let's pause for applause. Let's pause for applause.
Bonus pa na isa. How about you, June?
Let's pause for applause. Let's pause for applause.
And Bong?
Let's pause for applause. Let's pause for applause.
So ako naman. Siomay, suman, siopaw, shy!
Choice ba yan? Pipili ba ako? Siomay?
Pwede rin. Kasi yun ang ipapadeliver mo since birthday mo sa April din.
Hindi na chicken. Okay. Medyo nahilo ako dun sa math ha. Pero ang galing-galing talaga ng the real men of BCBP. And thank you very much also to our brothers for being very engaging and very game. And then, of course, sharing with us all the information that they have. I do know that the chat box, there's still questions coming in. We'll pick up all those questions and then give them to our treasurers, past and present, and then the responses may be shared with the chapter head siguro. So,
Yes.
thank you very much. Erica, what do you think?
Oo
Fun show?
nga, maraming salamat to our brothers, our gentlemen for tonight. Such a rich, pun intended, conversation with all of you. And I've learned so much, and it's a blessing to know the people behind the serious job of safekeeping our being our financial stewards in the community. Maraming salamat. I hope you had fun tonight as well with us, and I hope our audience did as well too.
Correct. Ako naman, I will forever treasure. Nakakala mo ikaw lang meron. I will forever treasure this show. So tonight, we will end our show na, but keep an eye out for episode 4. It will be definitely something special. So good night, everybody. I am Shai De La Fuente from BCBP Alabang.
And I'm Erica Sanchez from BCBP Makati. Magandang gabi, BCBP.
And we're back.
We're back. Bulaga.